Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class, which is actually a recording of a class given earlier in 1973 in Mayapur by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada himself. So, please increase the volume of your listening devices. Sometimes the volume of the recording is low. Now, without further ado, we'll start the class. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Tato Yudhiṣṭhiro gatvā saha-kṛṣṇo gajāhvayam pitaraṁ sāntvayām gāndhārīṁ ca tapasvinīm tato yudhiṣṭhiro gatvā saha-kṛṣṇo gajāhvayam pitaraṁ sāntvayām gāndhārīṁ ca tapasvinīm tato yudhiṣṭhiro gatvā saha-kṛṣṇo gajāhvayam pitaraṁ sāntvayām gāndhārīṁ ca tapasvinīm tato yudhiṣṭhiro gatvā saha-kṛṣṇo gajāhvayam pitaraṁ sāntvayām gāndhārīṁ ca tapasvinīm
tato yudhiṣṭhiro gatvā saha-kṛṣṇo gajāhvayam pitaraṁ sāntvayām gāndhārīṁ ca tapasvinīm
tato yudhiṣṭhiro gatvā saha-kṛṣṇo gajāhvayam pitaraṁ sāntvayām gāndhārīṁ ca tapasvinīm.
This full hall would have been compact. This is the difference between India and foreign countries. They are receiving this message of Krishna consciousness very seriously. Here they are rejecting. The Indians, they are rejecting. There is a proverb, আপন ধন বিলায় দিয়ে ভিক্ষা মাগে পরের কাছে. They have lost their own culture and they are now beggars. They are going to beg from door to door in the foreign countries. When I was speaking in Berkeley University, sometimes in the year 1966, one Indian student stood up and he said, Swamiji, what this Krishna consciousness movement will do? We require now technology. So I replied, yes, you are after technology, so you are a beggar. I am not a beggar. I have come here to give something. That is the difference. I have come here to give some culture, and you have come to imitate the Western civilization by technology. That is the difference. You will remain a beggar, I shall remain a giver. That is the difference. So still I am maintaining that position of giving, not taking. Before me, so many Swamijis went there. They did not give, but they took something and came here and advertised themselves as foreign returned sannyasi and exploited the people. They lost even their original dress. Everyone knows I have never changed my dress. Rather, I have given the dress to the foreigners and they have taken it. The Ramakrishna Mission people came to request me that I dress myself in coat, pant, hat. Because they are so-called Swamis, they are dressed in coat, pant, hat. So, this is a culture. This culture is meant for the human society. Fortunately, this culture developed on this land of Bharatvarsha. Unfortunately, the people are so much bewildered that they are giving up this culture. That is the most regrettable portion of our movement. Anyway, my mission was that I shall go to America, and if some of the American boys and girls, younger section, would accept it, then I'll bring them here to show these rascals that how great this culture is. So, portion of the population they are realizing now. Now here is a word, Gāndhārīṁ ca tapasvinīm. Gāndhārī, the wife of Yudhiṣṭhira, he is qualified here with as tapasvinīm. Tapasvinī. She was a householder wife having children, not only one children, she had 100 sons. But still she is addressed here as tapasvinīm. Tapasvinīm means one who undergoes austerity. Because this human life is meant for practicing austerity. Human life is not meant for extravagance. Tapasya, tapo divyam, jena, suddhit satya. This is the principle of human civilization. Suddhita satya, existence. Our existence, we are eternal. Every living entity is eternal. But we are subjected to birth and death. Why? Because we are not pure. Just like when you are impure, some disease infects. If you are pure, follow the hygienic principle, you will not be infected. Similarly, this existence, material existence, we, every one of us, part and parcel of Krishna originally, the same purity, qualitatively. If Krishna is the supreme pure, we are also pure, because we are part and parcel of Krishna. Just like a small particle of gold is also gold. The value is gold. It is not iron or something low-grade metal. The same. Similarly, as Krishna, ajopi san abhyatma, in the Bhagavad Gita it is said, Krishna is aja. He never takes birth. Bhutanam Ishwaropi san, although he is the Lord of all living entities, still by his desire he appears. Our appearance in this material world is also the same desire, but that is not independent. Our desire, who is talking there, he must stop. That portion is simply talking camp. Just like these frogs or toads are talking all day and night. Actually, we have got tongues, and these frogs, they have got also tongue. So, they are using their tongue, inviting snakes. Please come here and eat me. That is their business. Nature's way. See, if we simply talk like the frogs without any Krishna Katha, then we are inviting death very soon. So don't waste your time, kokoroko. That is my request. It is our habit, because we are no better than frogs also. We are also living entity. But we have got the chance to stop this kakarka and chant Hare Krishna. This chance we have got. The frogs, they haven't got that chance. They cannot chant Hare Krishna. That is the difference between the frog and us. So similarly, if we waste our time in that kakarka, then we are no better than the frog. We are no better than the frogs. So don't make kakarka when you assemble together. That is my advice. If you have got time, spare time, simply chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram. That should be your business. This is tapasya. Tendency is to crow, to make vibration like this, frogs. That is our tendency, because we are also conditioned soul. And the frogs or any animal, they are also conditioned soul, conditioned by the material nature. Therefore, tapasya, austerity, is required to nullify, to counteract this conditional state of living. Now you are conditioned, janma mrityu jara vyadhi, dukkha doshanudarshanam. We are conditioned by these four principles: birth, death, old age and disease. This is our condition. The scientists, rascals, they are trying to improve the condition of living. But what is the improvement? There is death, there is birth, there is old age, and there is disease. No improvement. If you want to improve your condition, if you want to come back to original constitutional position, then tapasya, then you require to undergo austerity. Tapo dibbam jina suddhita satya jato brahma saukham anantam. If you undergo tapasya, therefore we prescribe this tapasya, no illicit sex. Our tendency is to have illicit sex. That is the condition of this material nature. But we have to deny it. That is tapasya. Tendency is there. Tapasya means I have got some tendency, but voluntarily I have to check it. That is called control, tapasya. My tongue is dictating, oh, let us go to some place and eat such and such thing. But if you can control the tongue, no, that is tapasya. No, you cannot eat this. You cannot be allowed to eat anything except Krishna prasada. That is tapasya. Not that my tongue has dried up, I must drink a cup of tea and I take it. No, it is intoxication, prohibited, so I shall not take it. That is tapasya. And that tapasya, what for? Tapasya dibbam, tapo dibbam. Otherwise, there are many men, they are also undergoing austerities for some material purpose. There are many men who wants to accumulate some money, begins business from low standard, works very hard day and night. In your country there are many examples. just like Mr. Henry Ford. So, that is also tapasya. They underwent severe conditions of life to accumulate some money. After death or at the end of life, they will be called, oh, here is a millionaire. He started his business with a farthing. Now he wants that credit. No, not that kind of tapasya. Because that accumulation of wealth, millions of dollars, will be finished after this body is finished. After death, he cannot take away the millions of dollars with him next life. But they do not know that there is next life. Next life he may become a dog. Then what these millions of dollars will help you? That he doesn't know. Therefore, tapodibam, take austerity penances for reviving your original consciousness, Krishna consciousness. For that purpose you undergo austerity. Otherwise, if you simply undergo austerities, penances, hardship for some material gain, then it is waste of time, defeat, parabhava. Parabhavastavat abodhujata. Because he is a full rascal, he does not know what for hardship should be taken. Just like Hiranyakashipu, he also underwent tapasya. The whole universe became tremble. Brahma came, said, why you are undergoing such severe tapasya? On one finger he stood up and undergoing tapasya. And Brahma came. So what is your purpose of this tapasya? Sara, you want to be immortal. So that is not possible. You cannot become important. Then, in so many ways, he wanted to become immortal. What is the purpose of becoming immortal? There are many trees standing for 10,000s of years. That is very successful life, to stand in a place for 10,000s of years without any movement, or prolonging life for many thousands of years. Brahma lives also for many millions of years. So people are misled in this way. They undergo hardship for some temporary gain, which is condemned. Shastra says that if you take hardship, if you undergo tapasya, it must be for realization of God. Tapodibam. That will give you permanent happiness. And if you accept hardship for anything material, it may give you temporary so-called happiness, but with the end of your body, everything will be finished. Therefore, this tapasvinīm, this Gāndhārī, tapasvinīm, she has been described as tapasvinīm. She wanted to be a faithful, chaste wife. What is the result? If a woman becomes faithful, chaste wife, then the next life there is chance of her becoming a male, Because according to Vedic literature, to take birth as woman is low grade. Striya Sudra Tatha Vaishya Jepishu Papajonaya in the Bhagavad Gita. As there are higher grade and lower grade births, so according to Vedic understanding, the woman, the body of woman is lower grade birth. Therefore, if she is fortunate to have a good husband, devotee, and if she becomes faithful to that husband, then her life is successful. That is called tapasya. Gāndhārī did it. Gāndhārī in India still, marriage does not take by canvassing all of a sudden. The father and mother, especially in aristocratic family, royal family, even in Western countries, the father and mother selects the husband or wife. Even in England, the King Edward VIII, he was intimately in friendship with a common girl, so the state would not allow him that you can marry a common girl. So at that time the Prime Minister was Mr. Baldwin. He said to him that either you have to give up the company of that common girl, or you have to give up this empire. So out of sentiment, he gave up the empire. Later on he was very sorry. And his second brother, George VI, George VI means the father of the present Queen Elizabeth. So, still this is current in aristocratic family, that the husband and wife should be selected by the parents. So Gāndhārī, she was the daughter of Afghanistan, Kandahar, still the name is there, Kandahar, Gandhar. Formerly the name was Gandhar. So Gāndhārī means the daughter of Gandhar country. So, when she was informed that her would-be husband is a blind man, Dhritarashtra was blind from birth. So, immediately she practiced austerity. Voluntarily, she closed her eyes with cloth, that she would also live as blind. My husband would be blind, so although I am not blind, I must live also as blind. This is the beginning of austerity, Gāndhārī. So Gāndhārī was so faithful, one of the most exalted chaste wife mentioned in the Shastras, Gāndhārī, that in all conditions she followed the husband. At last, when everything was finished in the battle of Kurukshetra, no Kaurava, none of the sons or grandsons of Dhritarashtra was living, neither of the Pandavas. Still, Gāndhārī was faithfully serving her husband, and Dhritarashtra was living with the nephews, Yudhiṣṭhira and his brothers. They were keeping the uncle very comfortably as elder uncle, all respect. But Vidur came there and he criticized him that you have no shame. You all along remained enemy to your nephews. Now your nephews have killed all your descendants and you are living here just like a dog. They are giving you some morsel of bread and you are eating and living here. You have no shame. You have become old. So he became very sorry. My dear brother, what shall I do? Please come immediately along with me and come to the forest. So Dhritarashtra went according to the instruction of Vidur. Gāndhārī followed. Gāndhārī never said that I am now old, I have lost my children, these nephews, they are taking care of me, why shall I go with my husband? No, she also went. So there are many good qualities in Mahabharata about Gāndhārī. Therefore she is described here as tapasvinīm. Tapasvinīm. Very chaste, faithful wife, ideal wife. Gāndhārī, tapasvinīm. What is the part reading?
Dhritarashtra and Gāndhārī, the father and mother of Duryodhana and his brothers, were the elder uncle and aunt of Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira. After the battle of Kurukshetra, the celebrated couple, having lost all their sons and grandsons, were under the care of Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira. They were passing their days in great agony over such heavy loss of life, and were practically living the life of ascetics.
Because he was elder uncle, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj was coming in the morning to offer obeisances. And one morning when he came, he saw there is no Dhritarashtra and her aunt. He became very much disappointed because he was conscious that they were living in very aggrieved condition. So might be I have offended them, so therefore they have left my home. That is also you'll find. Then Narada came, they don't bother. They have gone to the forest to live as ascetic. Don't try to bring them back. Go on.
The death news of Bhishma Deva, uncle of Dhritarashtra, was another great shock for the king and the queen, and therefore they required solace from Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira. Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira was conscious of his duty, and he at once hurried to the spot with Lord Krishna and satisfied the begrieved Dhritarashtra with kind words, both from himself and the Lord also. Gāndhārī was a powerful ascetic, although she was living the life of a faithful wife and kind mother. It is said that Gāndhārī also voluntarily closed her eyes because of the blindness of her husband. A wife's duty is to follow the husband cent per cent, and Gāndhārī was so true to her husband that she followed him even in his perpetual blindness. Therefore, in her actions, she was a great ascetic. Besides that, the shock which she suffered because of the wholesale killing of her 100 sons and her grandsons also was certainly too much for a woman. But she suffered all this just like an ascetic. Gāndhārī, although a woman, is no less
Ascetic
than...
means who voluntarily suffers all kinds of suffering. Titikṣava, the exact word. Titikṣava karunika, sridam sarvabhutana, ajata sattarva shanta sadhava sadhu bhusana. Sadhu means that he must be tolerant. Just like Haridas Thakur. You know how much tolerant he was. So titiksa. So titiksa. Titiksa is the qualification of a Brahman. Samadama titiksha. Tolerant. You cannot expect any peaceful life in this material world. That is not possible. Therefore, in all conditions, in order to execute Krishna consciousness, we must be tolerant. Tang titikkha bharat. Krishna advised to Arjuna that there will be some material pleasures and not pleasure, displeasures. So pleasure is also here, displeasure. They do not know. So Krishna advised, Tang titikkha bharat. Agamopaina anitya. Tang titikkha bharat. These such things come and go. Don't bother much. Try to become tolerant and execute your own business. Similarly, we live together. There may be some inconvenience. You are brought up in a different standard in Europe and America, and in India it may be difficult because we haven't got all the facilities, but you learn tolerance. Execute Krishna consciousness. That should be our business. Tang titikha sava. Matra sparshasta konteya. Shītasna sukhadukkhala. Agama apaina anitya. Tang titikha sabhar. So, for life of austerity, Krishna consciousness life means the life of austerity, tapasya. It is not extravagance. So we have to learn titikha. That is one of the qualifications of the Brahman. Then
Gāndhārī, although a woman, is no less than Bhishma Deva in character. They are both remarkable personalities in the Mahabharata.
that's all. Hare Krishna.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful, wonderful lecture as always from Srila Prabhupada. This one was focused more on austerity, the life that we're supposed to live as devotees. Srila Prabhupada cautioned us that this world is full of problems. They're not permanent. They come, they go, but then another one comes and so on. And we have to live a life, because the consciousness means a life of austerity, tapasya. Definitely, sense control is tapasya, and it is part of our lives. So, very, very important message for all of us. Dear devotees, this is the time to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question, share a realization, connect the dots of what you heard from something else that you know about, so we all can learn from what Srila Prabhupada has taught, from his lecture and also from his books. Hare Krishna. Please unmute yourself and share if you feel so inclined.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, August
Accept
Prabhupada.
mine. Yeah, go to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, very nice points by Prabhupada. I picked out three main points, but I would like to address a point that is a very sensitive issue that I would like to add some clarification. And this is definitely coming from senior Prabhupada disciples and Prabhupada himself. So Prabhupada mentioned the word, being in a female body is a low birth, low grade. So I want to clarify that point by Srila Prabhupada. Because we know that we are not the body, we are spirit souls. When we take to Krishna consciousness, this is regarding women in particular, okay? When women take birth and when they take to Krishna consciousness, then the women are not considered low grade, Prabhupada said, because we are using our mind, our body, and our soul in service to Krishna. That's the first point. The second point, Srila Prabhupada says, if we think about it, Radharani is in a female body. The gopis are in a female body. The manjaris are in the female body. Mother Yashodamai is in a female body. The list goes on. There are so many associates of Lord, of Lord Krishna, even Lord Chaitanya, and the list goes on, who are in a female body. But does that mean that Radharani, who is the mother of the of the universe, the dear consort of Lord Krishna, does that mean that that Radharani is in a low-grade body? Absolutely not. The difference here is that when we use our mind, our intelligence, our body, our senses in service to Krishna, we are not, as women, considered low-grade, ever. If that is, and so let's play devil's advocate for a couple of minutes. Prabhupada was the only sannyasi in the history of Gaudiya Vaishnavism that allowed women to do services that is not allowed even in India. For example, women, Prabhupada gave Brahmin initiation to women. Why would he do that? If the Vedic teachings, if it says that women are considered low grade. No. Prabhupada says that we are above the Vedic culture. We are Krishna conscious culture. So we have to be very, very, very careful, very, very clear, is when we hear comments by Srila Prabhupada, we should get clarification, deep understanding, and deep faith before we think, oh my God, Prabhupada just called me a low-grade person. No, he did not. Because this is the same Srila Prabhupada who gave Brahmin initiation to women. This is the same Srila Prabhupada who empowered women to be leaders. This is the same Srila Prabhupada who empowered women to be book distributors. This is the same Srila Prabhupada who allowed women to be pujaris, to be cooking in the kitchen, for the Lord. This is the same Srila Prabhupada who allowed women to draw the paintings of Lord Krishna. The first artist, one of the first artists that Srila Prabhupada empowered to paint the paintings of Srila Prabhupada that we see in temples today is Mother Jadurani, Prabhupada disciple. She still is alive, actually. She's one of the first few women that Srila Prabhupada empowered to paint Lord Krishna, to paint pictures of Lord Krishna, his pastimes, Lord Chaitanya, the parampara, the acharyas, because Srila Prabhupada gave her the empowerment, that vision to actually see how to paint. So Prabhupada crossed the norm. Prabhupada crossed and broke, I have to say, broke all the norms to empower women. In fact, Prabhupada was criticized. Prabhupada was criticized by his god brothers. How can you allow women, to cook for you? Prabhupada even allowed that. One famous story that we have heard was about Mahārāja Prabhu when she was in India, and with helping with the Juhu project, and she had to go cook, buy groceries, buy boga to cook for Prabhupada, because he was having his godbrothers and some guests come over to his place to have prasadam. And Malati Prabhu cooked and she served. And they were speaking in Bengali, but Malati Prabhu could pick up, at the time she learned some Bengali when she was in India, or Hindi, something. I don't know whether it was in Juhu or whether it was in Mayapur. But anyway, but the essence of the pastime of the story was these guests who were Prabhupada's godbrothers and seniors told Prabhupada, why would you allow a low-class, low-grade person to cook and serve you? Prabhupada told his guests, she would cut her throat for me, and I will cut my throat for her. So we should really, really understand that Prabhupada is no way saying that we women are low grade in birth, not at all. When we take to Krishna consciousness, we have elevated ourselves to the platform of we are not the body, we are spirit souls. We have elevated ourselves to be allowed to be servants of the Lord so that we can come closer to Krishna and we can take the opportunity that we won't find in India. Like if you go to Mayapur, you go to Vrindavan, you go to any temple in India, you will never find women on the altar as pujaris, dressing the deities. You'll never find women cooking in the kitchen of any of the temples. You will never find that. It's difficult because that is the consciousness. Whereas in the West, Prabhupada broke all the norms and allowed women to do many, many things. Right now, at the present day, we have female leaders who are temple presidents. We even have 2 female GBCs, Prabhupada. There is a written statement by Prabhupada where he said, allow at least couple of women to be GBCs. And that is how we got Mother Malati and Mother Dinasharana to be GBC leaders. For 30 years they've been on the as GBCs, 30 something, almost 40 years. So, today we have women who are pujaris, women who are taking Brahman initiation, women who are cooking for the Lord, book distributors who are women, like Mother Bedangi is a book distributor, Mother Gita is a book distributor. There's so many of them. Women who are artists, women who are writers, women who give class, the list goes on. So I wanted to make this clarification before our minds start tripping, before we make offenses to Prabhupada, to really understand the statement that Prabhupada says, because that is the material essence of the Vedic culture. But we have to rise to the Krishna conscious culture. We cannot sit and be stuck at the Vedic culture. It should be the Krishna conscious. But yes, we are in the material world. So we have to play according to the rules, the norms, the society, and whatever. We are still stuck in Kali Yuga, but in our hearts, we should carry the Krishna conscious culture while trying to work and live in the society of the materialism, of the material world. Hare Krishna. And if there are any questions that anyone has about this topic, or any of the women, please do contact me, do reach out to me, because I really want to help, you to really understand Prabhupada's understanding when he make that statement, and to clear the doubts. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the comment. We have to make one thing clear. Srila Prabhupada, when he made that statement about women, she was talking about not Krishna consciousness. He was talking about in the Indian culture that they do that. This is at the body level, by the way. Mm-hmm. Srila Prabhupada has already preached that we're not the body, we're the soul. We're the soul. So we shouldn't think in terms of body. We put down women, you're thinking in terms of the body. We're not these bodies. We're human beings with the higher intelligence. So that should be clear to everybody. Mm-hmm. Yes, and everything that Ansuya said was actually things that have happened. So Srila Prabhupada was actually teaching Krishna consciousness at the spiritual level. Mm-hmm. At the spiritual level, not at the material level. Srila Prabhupada does not mince words when he mentions everything about this world in order to teach the right thing to do. So sometimes he would talk about things that are going on. He talked about people thinking that women were, or they're considered, he also used the word considered low grade, that body. Mm-hmm. But that's the Indian, again, a particular culture. Indian culture is not Krishna culture. Krishna culture is based on you're not the body, you're the soul. So that shouldn't present any problem to any man's mind, because even if you think that you're a man too, you also think you're at the body level, even in a man's body. Mm-hmm. So that should not be confusing to anyone, hopefully. Any other comments?
Actually, thank you for bringing that up. because I think it is a common challenge, for some men to think that. But when we start thinking as men that we rule over the women, that is not Krishna conscious culture. That is not even the mood of Goloka Vrindavan, because if we see, Radharani is the one that rules. What she dances, when Krishna plays his flute, everyone dances, but when Radharani comes in the picture, it's a whole different story. So as men, when we start thinking that we, rule over women, that is not Krishna conscious culture, that is not in our teachings, and that is not the mood of Goloka Vrindavan. So thank you for bringing that up, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Any other comments? We have a little time left. In the meantime, I can speak some of the things that I took from this wonderful lecture given by Srila Prabhupada. He actually started talking about Indians. Many people in India have rejected Krishna consciousness and now imitating technology in order to beg, to become a beggar. In other words, you study technology and then you begin to beg for jobs because that's where you're going to fit. They have to give you a job, so you become a beggar. Srila Prabhupada explained that he didn't come to the West like other Indians do to beg, to study, and then to beg for jobs. He came to give Krishna consciousness. He also mentioned that he was told by Ramakrishna mission people to kind of blend in with the West in terms of a dress and so on, put a coat, hat, and pants like that, because their leaders in the Ramakrishna mission people, they were wearing clothes like the Western people. But he refused to. As a matter of fact, his disciples started wearing the clothes that he was wearing. And we still do it today. So Srila Prabhupada's plan was to spread Krishna consciousness here in the West, like his Guru asked him to do, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. And then, after he makes disciples take those devotees back to India to show how great this culture is, Krishna culture, which the Indians had rejected. So then he began to talk about human life. What is this actually meant for? It's meant for tapasya, austerity. We are subjected to birth, death, old age, and disease because we're not pure. Originally, we're pure because we are part and parcel of Krishna, who is a supreme pure. Just like a small particle of gold is also pure, like the bulk of gold. So some people made some noise, and then he went to about talking. He incorporated that in his lecture, saying that we should not waste time, on Prajapa. He didn't use the word Prajapa, but that is exactly what it means. He's already talked about that in other books that he wrote. Talking just like frogs. We can chant Hare Krishna. That is our difference between us and frogs. Human beings can chant Hare Krishna. Frogs cannot do that. They just make all that kind of sound for the snake to come eat them. So whenever we have time, we should chant Hare Krishna. We should actually chant Hare Krishna as part of our austerity. Get up in the morning and chant and complete the minimum 16 rounds as part of the tapasya. This is human life. So he says we are conditioned by birth, death, old age, and disease. And the scientists are also trying to improve the human condition, but they can't remove these four things. Birth, which is painful, death, which is painful and regrettable because everything gets taken away, old age, which comes with a lot of pain, and disease, which affects everybody, from babies to old people. Scientists cannot improve these human conditions. So if we want to go back to our original constitutional position, then we should involve ourselves in tapasya, austerity. And then he defined tapasya. Tapasya is we have some tendency, but we voluntarily give up that tendency. The purpose is tapo divyam. Divyam is transcendental. We perform tapasya to get to the transcendental level. Scientists and business people are also doing tapasya. Those who in the research, they give up a lot of effort. They put in a lot of effort, give up a lot of time. They deny themselves. And I've been in it before, so I know what it can be like. Literally, well, I was doing chemistry, so the experiments were determining when I stop for lunch, when I go home, when I get started. My whole day was around how the experiment, because it's an experiment, when you start, you have to finish it. And if it's a long one and you want the product, you can't stop midstream. You have to stay. It doesn't matter if it's going to 12 midnight, you just have to do it. When it's finished, then you get to go home. So that was the passion. But that's for material reasons, because death comes and takes everything away. So we undergo austerity, penances, and hardship. If we do that for material reasons, then that's a waste of time. Then he gave an example about Hiranyakashipu. He wanted to be immortal, so he also did tapasya, serious tapasya. Brahma came to inquire about the reason for the tapasya that Hiranyakashipu was going through. He said he wanted immortality. Brahma said that was not possible. So tapasya should be for God realization, tapodivyam. Then he mentioned Gāndhārī. Gāndhārī wanted to be a chaste wife because the result, again, this is at the material level now. To be chaste is that the next life you could take birth as a man. Also, you can go to the heavenly planets also for basically doing things in the mode of goodness, including chastity. So that's success at the end. That time, see, Papa was talking at the material level. If a female is chaste, then the life will be successful next life, like that. So then again, he was talking about things that happen in aristocratic families. The parents select a man for their daughter, and so that was what was being practiced at the time. So Gāndhārī found, they found a husband for Gāndhārī, but he was a blind man. So Gāndhārī also blindfolded herself as an austerity to be in the same type of world as Dhritarashtra, who became the husband. She didn't have to do it, but she voluntarily, again, a different definition of tapasya, voluntarily gave up her eyesight so that she would be in the world and not feel herself better than Dhritarashtra. He wanted to serve her husband. And when the Kauravas were all killed in the war, in the Kurukshetra war, and Vidura came to take Dhritarashtra away, Gāndhārī also followed without complaining that she was, feeble and of old age. And so therefore, Gāndhārī is called a tapasvinīm, an ascetic. She really was a great ascetic. And a sadhu. Sadhu must be tolerant. One should not expect a peaceful life in this world. This is the reality of the world. A brahmana is sama dhamma titiksha. This is, if you want to, that's in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 42. All the qualities of a brahmana are there. So problems come, but they also have the nature of coming and going. So Krishna consciousness life is really a life of austerity. We go against the material grain, the way people live life. We chant the Hare Krishna mantra, we read, we hear, we have a way of cooking, conditions are there. We don't cook and then put it out on the table and start eating. No, we give to Krishna and say our prayers and make time for Krishna to eat, and then we take the remnants and get Mahaprasad, because Krishna, the one property of Krishna is that his senses can do the work, any sense can do the work of any other senses. So he can look as eating, he can touch as eating, he can just like that. The senses are, well, our senses are like that too for the soul, but not this physical body. For the physical body, one sense does just one thing except the tongue, which can speak and also taste. Everything else does just one. one function only. It's not like that when we come up with our real body, which is the soul, the spirit, then the senses are interchangeable. That's why we are like Krishna. But Krishna is Krishna now. He's always transcendental. So his body can't do that. So then we just, cook, give to Krishna, and then like that, then we eat. So it's a life of austerity. But and again, because the purpose is a higher purpose, we do that, and then we get used to it, and then it gets to the point that this is our life, and we become very happy in it because Krishna says, the extent to which you surrender means surrender to Krishna consciousness. He rewards accordingly, and he's the one that stirs up happiness in our hearts. So if we take to Krishna, then there's total gain, including even the tapasya that we perform. It's all total gain for us. So Śrila Prabhupada gave Gāndhārī as a very, very good example of somebody who did tapasya, even at the material level, he was still doing tapasya. So we shouldn't be turned off with it at all. The purpose should be a higher purpose. Tapodivyam. Hare Krishna. Any final comments or questions? If not, then we thank you very much for coming on. And this is the midweek. Have the rest of the week. Wonderful Krishna conscious tapasvic type week. We go to Tapasya. Just don't get turned off by it. Push this body, let it give you the best. The best means Krishna consciousness. Push it to do Krishna consciousness rather than take to Maya and do things easy. No. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhishcha kripasindhibhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.